Welcome to With Love Men, where we dig deep into what it truly means to be a man today. I'm Jake Fishbein,
I'm Nick Papadopoulos, and I'm affectionately known, sometimes even called Coach Nick.
and together we've led men's groups for a combined 25 years.
And most recently, we've also written a self help, inspirational, fictional novel about a men's group and the impact of this kind of work.
And it's going to be coming to you sometime in the first half of 2026. So
Yes, it is.
stay tuned. And this podcast, in addition to the novel and our men's group, The Arena, is another space where we have real conversations about vulnerability, courage, and connection. No masks, no pretending, just honest talk about being men.
So, as always, take a deep, 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 deep breath. And there you go. Take a deep breath and let it out with a sigh.
Ah,
And step into the arena with Jake and myself, and let's get started. We're going to be talking about men, our relationship to asking for support, asking for help. So let's get going, Jake.
absolutely. I mean, I'm
So,
gonna I'm gonna ask for help right off the bat because I thought we were talking about men and saying thank you. So I've got a whole different set of questions.
well, I do believe there's a relationship there, right? Or at least we're gonna find a way to connect the dots. So let me kick it off because I know every podcast, for those who are listening for the first time, Jake and I have a set of questions about the topic, and we have not rehearsed this, right? So the questions are coming, real time, and we're on the hot seat, if you will, just like we do in our men's group sessions. And this time it's my turn to ask you the first question around. I'm gonna start with around support, right? So for the longest time growing up, right, the joke has always been men don't ask for help around directions, right? Men will spend hours circling a neighborhood or circling an area, but not a chance, will not stop and ask anybody for directions or for help, right? Now, obviously, in recent years, we have Google Maps, we have Waze, right? So men can actually, torture themselves privately just looking at those maps, right? So my question is, even though I'm saying that in a funny way, what is the new thing? If it's not about men asking for directions, right? What are men not asking for today, Jake? Right? What are they not asking for from their partners, from their families, from their work, their bosses, and why? Why does that continue? Right? So whatever's replaced the infamous "I'm not asking for directions." What is it, and why do we continue to do this as men?
I mean, everything. Men are still not asking for support with everything, myself included. I will wander around the grocery store looking for the thing instead of asking the plethora of people
Right.
for help. I will here in New York City at our drugstores because there's been so much theft. They lock everything up now.
Oh my
I
gosh,
I
that's the
just
most annoying thing.
it's so annoying, but I don't go to them anymore because it would require pressing the button. I mean,
Right.
really, it's the wait, but it's another metaphor for I will avoid going and having to ask for help if I can do it myself
Right.
on the internet.
Right. Right. Can you
So
just can you just explain real quick to anybody who's listening who's outside of New York City what's happening in the drugstores?
yes, so before COVID, you walk into CVS, you walk into Walgreens, you walk into Dwayne Reed, you want to get some deodorant or some, I don't know, some shampoo and
Toothpaste, right?
toothpaste, toilet paper, and there it is on the shelf. And you go and you pick it up and you walk to the checkout counter and you pay. And at some point during COVID, some law was passed in New York City where they have security guards in these drugstores, but they can't actually stop anyone from doing anything. Like there's a
Mm,
law, they can't touch people, they can't accost people. So there would be these thieves that would come in and just take things,
right.
and there was no repercussion for them taking things, and so they just kept doing it. And I'd walk into Dwayne Reed or Walgreens, and the shelves are empty. And the shelves that aren't empty are locked up, and they're like two people working in the store. You have to press this stupid button and wait 15 minutes for them to come to open up for you to buy some toothpaste.
Yeah.
And it's gotten just more and more ridiculous. I used to live
Right.
in one neighborhood, and there were two drugstores that closed within a year of each other because people like the theft was so much. It was just utterly ridiculous. Um, and case in
Right.
point, I don't go to them anymore because it would require asking for help. So here I am. Here we are, facilitate men's groups, tell men to ask for help. And almost every day I
Right.
notice this narrative in my mind of, oh, I need to do this myself. I should do
Hmm.
this myself.
Right.
We're starting a second men's group in September, and we're hiring these two amazing facilitators to facilitate the group. And part of it was creating a contract, an
Right.
independent contractor agreement to protect them, protect us. And what do I want to go first? I go to ChatGPT, I go to AI to create a contract, and I'm doing everything possible to avoid actually talking to a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer.
Right.
I don't know anything about law.
Right.
And I noticed as I was like talking with a lawyer and getting it set up to just have a conversation, I noticed this fear of I'm going to look stupid. I'm going to seem incompetent. They're going to laugh at me that I used AI. And I think that is why so fundamentally men, including myself, avoid asking for help
Mm.
because I know I've been reinforced my entire life that when I do things alone, when
Right.
I do things effectively, I get rewarded for being smart.
Right.
People say, great job. People say, oh my God, it's so amazing you figured that out on your own. And so this reinforcement over a
Hmm.
lifetime of if I do it alone, if I figure it out, if I
Right.
spend 25 hours working on a stupid contract, which isn't so stupid, but felt that way, I'm going to be seen as smart
Right.
and
So there's
and
a payoff, is
capable.
what you're saying.
There's an absolute payoff, and I think there's so many things that men don't ask for support with, particularly around their own mental health, around loneliness, around belonging.
Right.
I've had conversations recently with people who are lonely, they're struggling. And we talk about, well, why don't you text your friends? And the
Right.
comment is, well, they're not reaching out to me.
Right.
And I remember in college, my junior year, and I've talked about this before, I think my junior was really hard. I
Mm.
went through a really bad heartbreak and was a mess.
Hmm.
And all I wanted to do was talk about it. Like it's the
Right.
only thing I wanted to do. But I wouldn't tell anyone I wanted to talk about it. I would just sit at the dining hall and look miserable, hoping someone would ask me how I
Right.
was,
Right. Right.
because I didn't want to ask for help. I didn't want to acknowledge that I was struggling, but I wanted
Mm.
people to see. I wanted people to be interested. And I
Right.
think so many men are that in that paradigm of if someone asked me if I needed help, I would say yes.
Right.
But for me to acknowledge, for me to go and say, hey, I don't know how to make a contract,
Right.
or, fast, like rewind in time, I don't know how to have good sex.
Right.
Like, which when I was 20, 21, like I didn't know how to have good sex. But the
Right.
last thing I would have done was to ask anybody, hey, can you help me? Can you
What would
tell me
that
about this?
what would that either reveal, confirm if you did, right? Like the heartbreak junior year. What 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 meaning would you have given it had you said, "Hey, in case anybody noticed, I look really miserable. Here's why."
Right. Um, I think in large part, and I think particularly with when it comes to performance, be it at work, in the bedroom, in exercise, even in that, and like getting through emotion,
Right.
because men are stoic, men are, which is bullshit. Men are not stoic, men are emotional,
Right.
that I would have somehow been less of a man,
Got it.
that I would have been less than by acknowledging I'm heartbroken right now. I'm really struggling, or I don't know how to make a contract, or I don't know how to have good sex, or I
Right.
don't know how to do financial planning. As a man, it just felt like, oh, I should know how to do these things without
Right.
asking for help.
Yeah.
And I think so many men are in that paradigm. And it's just really, really costly
Yeah.
to everything.
Yeah. Awesome. Not awesome about what you, I mean, not awesome about not asking for help, but I really appreciate your share.
Yeah, it's so interesting. It's such an interesting, I mean, like I said, here we are doing this work and I still struggle to ask for help.
Right,
And there are countless places where I do ask for help.
right.
I have a daily question. One of my daily questions is, did I delegate today? Which is code for, did I ask for help in
Yeah,
some space? Because I
yeah,
have to be
absolutely.
intentional about it.
Absolutely. And what our listeners are not privy to is that this week you and I spent some time and you did ask for help, right? You know, as we start this second men's group, right? Obviously, there's more to do between both groups. And I could tell it was a big ask or a big deal for you. I don't know if you were anticipating me pushing back or giving you a hard time. And I could tell it was a big deal because you said, "Hey, we really need to talk, need to delegate and share some, some of the responsibilities." Okay, yeah, great. You know,
Yeah. It was one of those things where intellectually I was like, I know Nick's going to be a yes. Like, there's no question about this. And then in the body, it's like all of the fear of, oh my God, this is vulnerable. Like, I have to ask for help. Like, what if
right,
he is upset, even though I knew because of our relationship that you wouldn't be, which made
right,
it easier to follow through with it and not agonize over it because
right,
I know what our partnership is. I knew
right.
you're going to be a yes. And like there was still that level of anxiety or fear or worry, even though I knew it was going to be fine.
Yeah, something that just I became present to as you were just sharing that, right? Which is in our relationship, in our dynamics, but especially around the groups, you've taken on a lot. And and what happens when we take on, in this case, you taking on a lot, or when I take on a lot and don't ask for support, or don't share with people what you might be going through as you're taking this on, we're actually training others. In this case, you are training me that Jake's okay. He can actually take on more. If he really needed help, or if he needed me to weigh in, or on the contract, you brought up the contract for our new two facilitators, right? He'd ask, he'd reach out. We talk all the time. We're texting every day. We text every day. We
Literally
talk
every
we
day.
we talk a couple of times a week, right? But I'm saying that what I'm present to is that when I, as a man, don't include others, the message I'm sending to them, to the universe for that matter, is I'm a-okay. You have nothing to worry about. So we're actually training people to not support us or to not like weigh in or check in on us.
Absolutely. And then when we do it well, we get the accolades of like, you're so smart. Like, way to go.
Right.
So it's this terrifying
Right.
cycle of
Right.
just keeping isolated.
Yeah.
So my question for you, which I'm coming up with on the spot, because my
Yeah.
questions are different, which is actually really fun, and a little agonizing, because they're good questions.
You
Is
can still ask
what
them. You can still ask them.
I know I'll ask them when we get to that part of the conversation, because I think there is a natural transition to saying thank you.
Mhm.
Um, and the question I want to start with is, what happens for you? What happens for men in general when when you see them both reach out for support and receive it? So we just talked about, hey, this is why men aren't. But what happens when men do? And specifically, from your own experience, but also witnessing countless men being willing and vulnerable enough to ask for help.
Yeah. I mean, I believe that when we ask for support, or and actually this sentiment of saying thank you, right? For let's say the support, or for weighing in, or for providing some kind of, hey, let me take a load off, if you will, right? And just saying thank you. Even being able just to brainstorm with someone, right? Just to have a conversation. Hey, I just want to vent, or walk through something. That, to me, the thank you and the support, to me, are very either the same or very, very similar, right? I believe what happens is that men connect to their heart, right? I believe that what
Mhm.
happens is that men get to connect their heart to their heart, and then they get to connect to somebody else's heart. And that is new ground for many men, right? That's a new place because, like you said, when we're in a conversation and when we're in a commitment around, hey, I want to look smart, like you described when you were sharing a few minutes ago, or we want to look good, or we want to look like we've got it together, like we're in control. That's generally coming from our head, right? From our ego, right? And so when you say to somebody, I really could use your help on this, right? Can you please do A and I'll do B, or can you weigh in on this because I'm, struggling, or thank you so much. You're acknowledging that you have a heart. You're also acknowledging that that it's a different way to define looking smart. It's a different way of defining looking good. It's a different way of defining being in control. That again is so important for men because there's so much evidence. There's so many awesome quotes about when you do something by yourself, that there's so much you can go to a certain point, but when you do it with other people, you're going to go much further, right? Intellectually, we all know that, like we get it, like we're told all the time, you can get further with having a support system, having people who can join in. I mean, any transformation that happens in the world, any transformation, any movement that's happened in the world happens in groups. It's not one individual, right? I mean, the greats, the most impactful humans. I mean, Martin Luther King didn't change civil rights by himself, right? And so I believe what's possible is that we connect to our hearts, we connect to other people's hearts. And when that happens, I really believe that we are just healthier. We're healthier people because of it. We become healthier. I know that I'm healthier when I've asked for support because I don't have to live in my head. I don't have to live in my head feeling this pressure of looking good, looking smart, looking in control, looking like I have it all together. That's a lot of pressure to put on ourselves. A lot of pressure, which impacts our resilience. It impacts our level of energy. It impacts our level of being patient and compassionate, right? Hard to be patient and compassionate when I'm feeling all this, pressure. My back is against the wall to, have every single thing done, on my own within a specific time frame. So, yeah, I think that when we say thank you because we got acknowledged for something, or because we got support, or we got the collaboration, or whatever it was, I think something different happens. I actually ultimately think we're healthier humans. So
Yeah, and what's an example from your life where you said thank you and it, like, that thank you, that receiving made a really big difference for you and the other people on the other side of the table?
yeah, I mean, I would even say, recently I had a challenging conversation with my partner, Anissa. And, it was a conversation I was nervous about having with her. And, it was really about, how we interact as a couple with other couples and other people. I was feeling, really triggered, about some interactions that had taken place. And we had the conversation. We had the uncomfortable conversation, the challenging conversation. And the conversation went in a lot of different ways. And, there was a point where it got really, really fugly, and it got really, really intense. And then it got to a much, much different place. And at the end of the conversation, and when I walked away from it, I was really, really grateful for her. I was grateful for the ability and the opportunity to have that exchange together. I was really grateful for her willingness to, stay in the pocket even when it got fugly. And so I called her, a little later in the day and said, hey, thank you. I said, I really,
Mm.
and it's interesting, with the minute I said thank you, I felt this tremendous love for her. I also felt this tremendous love for myself. I mean, I felt like I was, like, the rest of the day, I was like skipping around. Honestly, that's the experience I had. I mean, maybe I was, I don't know if somebody was following me. Maybe I was actually skipping around, but that's what it felt like. It felt like I felt really high, actually, by saying thank you, being grateful, and letting her know about it. And I also, what it's interesting, as men, one of our, part of our DNA is to protect. And I really believe, and I think that we've been taught for, a long, long time that as a man, you protect certain ways. And I felt like in that moment, when I called and said, thank you, I'm really grateful. I want you to know you're my person. I felt like I was protecting her and protecting the relationship I was protecting her in the relationship. It was a different way to define protecting somebody. And I was doing that through my heart, not through my head of, hey,
Yeah.
I'm going to manage your finances for you, or I'm going to, I'll handle, the contractors, or I'm going to handle the arrangements for, whatever, fill in the blank, right? Which, yes, those things are, those are things that may have to take place as well in your life. But I felt like I took care of her in our relationship. So, and like I said, I felt this tremendous love for both her and myself.
So much stands out to me in what you said, and I want to name a couple things. I mean, one, that thank you, that phone call was a way of indicating to yourself and to her that you didn't take the relationship or the conversation or the willingness to engage in the messiness for granted,
Yeah,
which is something, I mean, all humans do, and men in particular, especially with our partners, so easy to take them, their presence for granted.
right,
It's one of the reasons my girlfriend Perry, she works from home a lot of the time. And so she's able to do our laundry, she's able to get groceries. And every time I say thank you, because I know how hard that is to take time out of the day, because I've had to
right,
do it. And it
right,
would be really easy to just take it for granted that, well, she's home. Like it's easy for her to do it. I don't need to appreciate send my appreciation, but I make sure to say thank you every time so she knows that I see her
right.
and the effort she's putting in. And I hear that in your call to Anissa is like this honoring of I don't take this relationship and your willingness for granted. And the other thing that really stands out to me, and it's something that a lot of people in the men's work space say, and we don't say it explicitly in the arena, but I think it's in the background, which is that people, and particularly women, crave men's presence, not their performance.
Mm,
And the performance is that let me do your finances, let me build the shelving, let me
hmm
clean the apartment, let me protect you, let me provide financially. Like that's all the performance. And so many men feel like to be a provider, I've got to perform.
right.
And that's how I'm going to receive my self-worth is if I'm
Yes,
performing, if I'm providing, I am worthy. And what I hear time and time again is women and all humans, they crave our presence,
right.
which presence can be part of performance can be part of presence, but
Yes,
and not discounting the importance of the performance of the doing. Like we do exist in the world, we have to have behaviors and performance.
right.
But then when it comes down to it, that thank you, that protecting of the relationship, like that's presence. And
Yes,
that's something that is a very different way of providing that
yes,
creates so much psychological safety.
yes,
You can have physical safety without psychological safety, and that's not true safety.
yes.
That psychological safety is the underpinning of, I mean, of any type of successful relationship.
Absolutely. The point you're making about being present, right, or demanding the presence of your, male partner is it reminds me of, when women complain that men are in their cave, sometimes their physical cave in their home if they have the space for it. For you and I in Manhattan, that's not a possibility. um, but we go to that metaphorical, that emotional cave. where we're not present, right? So we're not taking care of others. So we're not taking care of ourselves. We're not taking, and therefore we can't take care of our partners. Um, so let me ask you a question I have around um, thank you, gratitude. Um, why in our men's group sessions, and we had a session this week, we deliberately asked several men to say thank you about the arena men's group, their experience, right? What gets in the way of it, right? Like what gets in the way of someone just naturally, proactively just saying, "Hey, thank you so much for this. This is like so awesome." Like
Mm.
what are men protecting from your experience?
In big ways, I mean, two things come to mind. The first is it's very vulnerable to say thank you.
Mhm.
And men in large part shy away from that feeling of vulnerability and the feeling of weakness, which
Mhm.
again goes back to what I talked about at the beginning, which is why men avoid asking for help, is wanting to seem like they have it all together
Mhm.
and can do it alone because it would be weak in quotation marks otherwise. And for many men, being vulnerable feels weak, even though vulnerability is the greatest strength because it takes real courage to be vulnerable. So
Right.
that's one, is saying thank you is vulnerable. And then two, what was it? It went out of my brain. Um, so that's me being vulnerable because I had a really good thought and now I gotta reel it back in. When men say thank you, I mean, it is an indication they're not taking something for granted.
Mhm.
And it's, man, the thought
You're putting yourself on the line
you put it, and that's
because
that
you're saying, "Hey,
vulnerability.
Jake, thank you, right? Thank you for being my friend, being my partner, right? I am putting myself on. I'm basically saying, please don't go away, or hey, this is really meaningful. I'd like to spend more time. I'd like to play more with you, right, etc."
Exactly. And that's the vulnerability piece. I think the other thing, oh, and this is what it is, men want to seem smart. I mean,
Mm,
there's so many times where someone will offer feedback, and we say it in the group when someone offers feedback perspective, just say thank you. Like, you
yeah,
don't have to agree, you don't have to like it, you can even be upset, but to recognize that when someone is offering something, they're being there for you.
right.
And so many people will say, thank you. I've already thought of that. And I do that all the time because I don't want to seem stupid. And it's like, it's not for the other person. I mean, this happened the other day. A friend texted me and they were like, you should really do this. And I said, yeah, that's what I'm planning on doing. Instead of thank you, that is a great idea.
Yeah,
And it was a great idea. Who cares that I already had it?
right.
And so men avoid saying thank you because of that, because
Mm,
they might look different they think they're going to look different to the people looking at them, which is it's not true. But two, we do it because men don't always say thank you. And
right.
men do take things for granted. And it's so valuable to routinely connect with gratitude. It's one of the reasons we have an appreciation WhatsApp group. And there are about 45 men in this WhatsApp group from three different men's groups. And 10% of them really contribute regularly. But there's been a lot of research that shows that when we reorient to gratitude, when we say thank you, when we show appreciation, it changes the neural pathways in our brain. We
Yeah,
look at what's working. I think it's even important, and a lot of times I'll put in my appreciation. I appreciate this challenging experience I had today
right.
because appreciation, gratitude isn't just for the good stuff. It's for appreciating all of the experience and finding the gratitude for what's tough.
Yeah,
Someone gives me really hard feedback. I want to say thank you. It was probably hard for them to give me the feedback. So
right.
thank you is also an acknowledgement of the effort that someone else is putting into the relationship.
Right.
And in the context of our group, and I always think about this lesson that your mentor Armand DeMille instilled in you, which is to have men periodically say thank you to the group.
Yes.
to connect to their hearts and connect to,
Yes.
oh, this is why I'm here. Like,
Yes.
this is the difference it's making. That's why we have the appreciation thread. That's why we'll ask it from time to time in the group. That's why I say thank you to my girlfriend all the time, is
Yes.
as a reminder to her that I'm grateful, but also a
Yes.
reminder to myself of the gifts of the relationship.
Yes. I just thought when you said about your friend texting you about an idea, and your response was, "Hey, I'm planning to do that." Right? I wonder, and I've been on the receiving end of that from you and from others. Right? So this is not to make you feel bad, and this is not
Yeah.
a passive aggressive comment here. It does leave me, and I wonder if it leaves others, and that's really for the folks listening. When I get that response back of like, yeah, I've been doing that already, or like, yeah, thinking of I'm already on that. It kind of leaves me, the person who offered, feeling like, oh, I guess I'm dumb for even offering.
Yes.
Oh, I guess he's again. We're training people. Oh, I don't need to check in on Jake in the future because he's already got it covered, right?
Exactly. Or I don't have to give him ideas. He's not open to them. I
Right. So
was
why
working,
bother? Why bother? Again, we're
why
training
bother?
people to leave us alone, which is fascinating.
Yeah. Or we're training people to feel less than. I was working with a client yesterday, works at a very large hotel chain. And he works in a hotel and he's under a general manager. And he said in a recent one-to-one, the GM, like they sat down and the GM is saying, hey, I think you should be doing this and this and this and this. And my client said at the end, we're already doing all those things. And the GM said, I feel really out of the loop. Like,
Mm,
I want to be updated more. And the client and I were talking about managing up and micromanagement and all that, but I was really connected to when we talked about this.
right.
His manager doesn't feel valuable.
Right.
And here he is offering all these ideas and they're already
Exactly.
being done. And
Exactly.
I mean, the right thing to do may not be to say, thank you, we're going to do that, but it is to reorient, how am I in this relationship?
Yeah.
And yeah, if I would go back to that text I got yesterday, I would just say, thank you. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Um,
You could even joke, not joke, but like in an endearing way to go, hey, great minds think alike. Really,
exactly.
really appreciate you thinking of me. I'm thinking along the same lines. You're actually reinforcing, right? Like my idea or my thought, right? Like that. So that becomes a win-win, and the person really feels like, oh, he values, in this case, me weighing in. I've shared with you when I got married, many years ago. We got married. We had a couple of hundred people, and folks that were invited were there was folks who were affluent who had who have resources to give a gift and all that. And I remember, and I've shared this with you at the wedding, about half the people didn't give us a gift, and I was thinking, wait, what happened here? Like, did everybody forget protocol, or did I not give a gift when I went to their wedding, or some special occasion, or whatever the case may be? And I remember I was seeing, you mentioned Armand DeMille, a mentor of mine, and I was seeing him at the time one on one, and he said to me, he goes, Nick, you come across like you've got it all figured out. And he's like, and I know you're my then wife. He's like, and I know her as well. He's like, the both of you come across like you don't need anybody. That you guys individually are, superhuman and rock stars, and then together you're a power couple. And so he's like, I actually believe that a lot of people don't think you need the gift, or you need the money, or you need the expression of the gift, right? And I remember that hit me so hard because I thought,
Mhm.
even if he's a little bit right, geez, again, I keep going back to this term of, I'm training my people to not weigh in. I'm training my people not to send me the text message to go, hey, Nick, I was just thinking about you, or I saw this article and I thought you might, get value as you're building your second men's group, or whatever it is, right?
Yes.
But that was like so revealing from a tangible perspective that half the people didn't give a gift.
It reminds me what I was saying earlier about being heartbroken in my junior year of college. And wanting people to ask how I was, but not being willing to
Right.
ask for it. It's the
Right.
same thing. And I remember, well, 10 years ago when we started working together, I quit my job. I was like totally going through like a quarter life crisis of sorts of trying to figure out what I should do. And I mean, there's more there for another podcast. But I remember having dinner with a friend and we were talking afterwards, and she said, you're so self-assured, no one wants to take it away from you.
Yes.
And I remember being hit with that, like, oh man, like, yeah, I'm trying to show everyone I've got it together.
Yes.
So no one wants to take that away from me, even though it was like BS. Like I
Yes.
didn't have anything together. I was a wreck,
Right.
but I didn't want anyone to see that. And if I had only let people see that, and I did in my own ways, and I mean, you were one of those people that I would have gotten support.
Right. 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 We are fascinating humans, or humans are fascinating.
Humans are, I mean, absolutely fascinating. It's so peculiar, interesting, and also understandable that the things we want the most are often the things we're afraid to say we want.
Yeah.
Or, and I think it does come to the vulnerability aspect and not wanting to look different or wanting to look
Right.
bad or whatnot. And just come time and time again, I think to this text message from yesterday, my friend's not going to think I'm stupid if I say that's a great idea.
Right. Yep.
They're not going to think that. And yet that's how I would feel. I
Right.
would feel like I would have been acknowledging my stupidity, which is just
Hmm.
beyond ridiculous.
Yes. Yes.
So I see we're getting close to the end of our time, and we could talk for another, I feel like
I
3 hours on this
I
topic
know.
alone.
I
And
know.
I've got a session I've got to run to. What what's your parting shot? What do you want to leave the folks that are listening with around asking for support, saying thank you?
I would say, um, most important is that when you ask for support, or when you include people, right, in your process or on your project, whatever it may be, it's actually a gift. It can be a gift to them. It can be a gift to them for a couple of reasons. One is that it could be actually a growth opportunity for them, a learning opportunity for them, right? So I'm including you in creating a contract, right? And so that's an opportunity for me to expand my knowledge, right, in business, right, or in relationships or negotiation. So there's a learning aspect when we include other people. So forget about even asking for support. Even think of it in terms of inclusion, including people. The second gift is that, especially in those relationships, like the one you described, where the person's texting you, they clearly care about you or care enough about you that they would reach out in their busy day, right? It's a gift because, like, they actually want to support you or give back to you, because
Yes.
for whatever the reason is, they dig you, they love you. Maybe you did something and they want to reciprocate because they just feel like that's important
Mhm.
to do. And so asking for support, or including people, or saying thank you to them, it can be a gift, again, A, because it's a learning opportunity, and B, sometimes it's a way to acknowledge their love for you. So please give people that opportunity. Don't be stingy. Let them have that. That's important. How about you, Jake? What's your parting shot?
Well, one, I'm gonna just remember that, and every time someone texts me something that I've already done or already seen, I'm just gonna say thank you. I'm gonna say thank you. I appreciate it
I
so
love it.
much, and I'm gonna experiment with that and see how it makes me feel
Mm,
to do that. So that's my commitment going forward. Maybe I'll add it to my daily questions. Did I say
love
thank
it.
you today? My parting shot would be if you need help, if you are lonely, if you're struggling, if you're working on a contract and you're not a lawyer, if you're in a partnership with someone and find yourself doing most of the work, the romantic partnership are like ours, a business partnership. I mean, it's much more than that, but
Right. I know what
fundamentally,
you mean.
like if you need help, ask for it
Yes.
and just like allow the stories to be there, but go ask for it. Go text your friend and say, hey, like, are you free to hang out tonight? Um, I always appreciate. I have a few friends who, I mean, I have a lot of friends, but a few really close friends, and I appreciate that so many of them, when they're struggling, they'll text me and they'll say, "Hey, like, I just, you know, can you weigh in?" Or like, "I'm struggling with this. What do you think? I just wanted to share it with you."
Right.
And it's something we practice in the arena in our men's work is to just go ask for help.
Yes.
And I tell you, it makes the biggest difference for me as a friend to receive that. I'm going to want to show up for my people. And I
Yes.
think that that's the final thing I'll say is especially for men. I know we say a lot like men joke with one another, men don't often like to go deep, men like to interrupt the intimacy. I have never seen it where a man goes to his male friend and says, "Dude, I need you,"
Yes.
where that friend will not show up. Because
Absolutely.
without a doubt, even if there's never any vulnerability in the relationship, if you use those words, "I need you," they will be there.
I have a friend who just did that, Jake. My oldest friend actually needed me, and I didn't even honestly. My go to was what it wasn't what time it is or what else do I have to do. It really was whatever you need, man. Like
Exactly.
like uh, in fact, so much so that we were having dinner with my kids, my two boys, and we finished dinner, and I said to my boys, "Hey, you guys could go home," which I'm sure they didn't mind anyway. And you guys can go home because I'm going to hang out here and have a conversation. And we spent several hours after that. And again, it didn't even feel like we were there for several hours because my friend, my dude, needed me.
Yeah. And I think even if your friends, you're not in a men's group, your friends aren't in a men's group, if all you do is play fantasy football and drink together, if you say to one of them, "I need you," he will drop everything to be there without a doubt.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Awesome.
Awesome. As always. Well, thank you all for tuning in. We'll be
Yes.
back with more in the future. And for the time
Yes.
being, would love men,
With love, Nick.
would love Jake.